Okay, so now that we've got some fonts installed, as we start to look at how we might apply them to the image, we can see that unless you're doing a business card or something that's similarly more sedate, you're probably going to want to mess with your fonts and change them up a little bit. So in this case, what I've been doing is printing the fonts on a curve and printing them out on a piece of paper in a very light color, and then I go over them by hand with black marker, scan the results, bring it back in, and live trace it. And in the process, I get something that looks a lot more varied than any font you'll find. You can see here I have A, and A comes up 3 times already. And if I was just basing this on a computer font, you would really start to see the computery nature of those repeats, but doing a combination of Illustrator and drawing by hand sometimes helps with that. Again, not something you need to do specifically, but just trying to show you how you start to use these tools as you move forward. So let's hit P for pen. And the first thing I want to do is identify the bottom line of the text as it travels across this ribbon. So I might have it start somewhere around here and then sort of stretch that guy out. If you prefer that method where you lay down corner points and then come back and edit them, that works too. I'll hit Escape to get out of the pen. And if I want to, I can flip this relationship around so it's just a little bit more clear what's going on there. That line is not going to be shown before too long. So my last term that I want to write in here is resistance, so I'll hit the T for Type tool, and I'm going to click all the way over here on the left-hand side because that's going to be the starting place. And you can see this is already adopting the curve, and then I can type in resistance, double-click that to highlight it, and then we'll come back in and start to make this font larger. And we want it to kind of land right there in the center. 36 is a little too much, and if I want, I can just type in numbers until everything fits on there nice and neat. You may also find that as you move down here in terms of numbers, you don't really like the alignment exactly. So there are some other tools that we can mess with as well. If I click on paragraph, and let's see, and look at I don't think paragraph is exactly what I want. Let me head up to Window and take a look at all the different type options. So there's character, character styles, paragraph. Let's try character. Here's what I'm looking for. So down here we also have access to some of the things involving kerning. So for example, if I don't like exactly how this guy is fitting in, I could start bumping up slightly the distance between the letters, and then maybe arriving somewhere around, I don't know, 30 or 40. So we just want to get things close, right? So if I hit OK and deselect that, things are looking pretty good so far. And the reason this looks different, of course, is because with these, I printed them out and redrew them. The other thing that you may find is that the computer is only so good at figuring out what you're trying to do. So sometimes when it's laying text on a curve, it just might not look that good afterwards. So in order to really get in there and mess with it, we'll get it close, and then we'll highlight this text and go to Type, and then down to, I always lose this one. Where did it go? I don't know if it needs to be highlighted or not. Maybe it's under Object. I'm looking for Create Outlines. Why can't I find this here? It's possible I needed to switch to the black arrow. Okay, so that seems to have done it. So I switched to the black arrow, and then I clicked on my text. I don't know what issue I was having before, but now if I look under Type, I will see that Create Outlines is an option. And that takes this from live text that we can change just like in a word processor to text that we can modify just like it's any other shape. So now I can get in here. I mean, these guys are in a group, so they're all move at once. But I can start to lay them out. And then if I hit Shift-Command-G, I can unlock these letters from one another. And then I can start to mess with their positioning a little bit more. I'm also not super crazy about the really long bottom legs on these E's. So now I can even get in real close. And with the white arrow, I could, for example, just select some of these paths or segments and delete them. And then with the black arrow, looks like I have to ungroup that guy too. And now I can just grab, whoops, let's right click it and I'll say release compound path. And now I can drag this guy over as well. And then I might go back to the pen and say click, click, and click, click to reconnect that stuff. So at this point, you have some really fine-grained control over exactly how you want each of those letters to look. Once I've ungrouped them, in some cases, right-click to release the clipping mask, or rather the compound path. You might have to do that too. But then I can scooch things around to my heart's content. I can even click one of these and rotate it from the corner a little bit so it starts to adopt that, that series of arcs on the ribbon a little bit better. And then if you were me, because this is just how I happen to be doing this project, I could then select the whole thing. Oops. I think I might have some stuff locked here. So let's go to Object, Unlock All. And I can also just get rid of that guy. So I'll select everything, and then at this point I could go to Window and Transparency and just bump everything way down like that. So if I print this thing out, now I could come back over it with black marker, for example, and scan it again until I get the exact result I'm looking for. So that's how you mess with text.